What's happening, everybody? I'm back as the president, Supervillain, Mr. J. Washington. I'm here with my review for episode 2 of Batwoman on the CW. And if you have not seen this episode yet, come on back because it will be spoilers. I am going to do my best to make sure I review every episode this season of Batwoman. I did not do it with season 1 for quite obvious reasons. I did really care for Ruby Rose's Kate Kane. Not gonna lie. Just not gonna lie. I think Javicia and I have mutual friends, and we've ran across each other once or twice, but I also love the story and what they're doing with this. This episode continues on the fact that, Ryan has found the suit, and she was told she can't be Batwoman, but she still wants to kill Alice for killing her mom. Everyone believes Kate is possibly dead, except Jacob, who's like, we can still hold out hope, fam. That plane exploded. But I also said in my review of the premiere that I like the way they handled this angle of Kate Kane's disappearance, if you will. Here's the weird thing. I get Alice is a psychopath. I get it. I understand. But she carried around Mouse's body for way too long. Mouse's dead body. I am glad we officially have gotten rid of him, how she used his body as a vehicle to send a message to Mary and about Sophia and how all these other things and, whatnot. But, a dead body should have been decomposed, and I get it. I understand TV and movies, and we're supposed to believe that this is all within a series of maybe a day or two, but at the same time, a body decomposes rather quickly unless it is put on ice or put in extreme cold. So that's not the scientific thing I want to get into. We have, once again, you got Ryan saving a convenience store owner from being robbed and, stepping up her game after trying to get a job and finding out she can't because of what's on her record, which is, for those who may not understand, there are many people in this country alone today who have been denied employment because of their previous incarcerations. Now, there are some where I can understand when an employer will look and see and be like, well, damn, you did this. I get it. But there are those that have had, she even said, I took the bullet for something so I could plead to a lesser charge and get a little bit of time. And you have those who, like Ryan even states in the episode, I gained a lot of valuable skills, especially for the job in which she was applying for. Now, again, like I said, it's hard for people to look past the ex-convict aspect of it. It's hard for people to look at you were in jail, no matter what the jail is, whether it's real or fake. It's hard for a lot of people to look past that. I have a lot of friends who were, in prison for different things, and they have gone on to make something of themselves. They did not let their prior conviction stop them, if you will. To find out that Alice has this plan to try to poison the city with a bunch of bats. At one point, hearing, after the body of Mouse is brought into the clinic of Mary's, where the bat flies out and you hear Ryan say, I hate bats. I think that's the most ironic statement, the fact she's going to become Batwoman. But I think these are things, the way they're telling the story of Ryan works why she becomes Batwoman. Later in the episode, when the whole bats are terrorizing downtown Gotham at the Batwoman protest, and she shows up in the suit, Jacob Kane sees it's not her, and she ends up helping to stop this when she devises a plan to trap the bats, in the Crow's bus and have it blow up. How the younger girl says, you're Batwoman, and she says, no, I'm not, she being Ryan, and the girl says, you are to me. And so it makes Ryan start to see different things in her life. We see a reflection moment where she was saved by Batwoman at one point in the beginning of the episode. We see that months ago she was saved by Batwoman. So, and to find out later how it comes back around, how Kate wrote in the journal that she saved a young woman with a spark like her. To see Ryan confront Alice on the roof, or Alice confronted Ryan, and for Ryan to basically be like, hey, bro, you out my ear talking to Luke like I'm finna kill this chick. Here's my number one question I have to ask. Who trained Alice as far as how to fight? Like, who trained her? And I say this because earlier in the episode, we hear Ryan, when trying to get this interview, saying she's training like a half dozen different versions of martial arts. Now, Yes, Kate went to an elite fighting school and she was trained, and when she left there, she trained. Who trained Alice? Because when you think about it, like, yo, she should be able to, craziness is one thing, but to fight the way she can and to be able to defend herself and guard against those, it's kind of like, who trained you? Who was the Sifu that was like, little lost white girl, you need to survive in the world. I will train you and show you ways. Like, who did that? Also, another thing I love is the realism behind the Ryan Wilder character. And what I mean by the realism is, despite this being based on a comic book character, despite this being a comic book TV show, the real lessons that are always invoked, the real life symbolisms that are always, involved in these episodes, as in primarily through most of the shows on the CW, not just within the Arrowverse. I refuse to call it CWverse. I refuse. But how after Ryan helps to stop the store from being robbed, how when she's being interrogated by Sophie, how Ryan tells Sophie, you think I don't know why Jacob Kane won't kill Alice or Beth Kane? And, Sophie says it's because he's lost any sympathies for her, blah, 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 blah. Sophie knows that Alice is Beth, at first. But, well, she didn't say, I'm sorry, Ryan doesn't say Beth Kane until after she goes to see Mary. My apologies. But she says, why Jacob Kane hasn't killed Alice? And then Sophie says, wait, he let go any sympathies he had a long time ago. But she says, no, it's because she's white. Now, I know some people will watch this and have watched the episode and go, oh my God, they're playing the race card. Here we go. But it's just the honest to God truth. It's just real how things are. I speak about this a lot and I never will shy from it. You look at the Dylan Roof situation in North Carolina, the young white supremacist who went into a black church, killed 9 church parishioners, and then was taken out alive and taken to Burger King for a meal. You look at now the black dude who was with the domestic terrorist that stormed the Capitol, and how a lot of these terrorists have been bonded out. One woman stole Nancy Pelosi's laptop, attempted to sell it to the Russians, and was released into custody of her mother. But this black dude is being held without bail and everything. Now, if you're going to do one way, you do them all. So either he walks free with the rest, or all of them stay arrested, regardless. You get what I'm saying? And so to have Ryan address that is a major thing, and have her, again, even in the season premiere, talk about how all these unanswered cases and violence happens against black people and people like me in this country and things like that. And so I love what it is doing. It's I sometimes still think that Rachel Skarsten is overplaying it, but I guess that's what they're doing with Alice. Again, she's this world's version of the Joker. I kind of get that. She is crazy and psychopathic, and Luke says if Mouse is dead and she killed Mouse, that was her last tethering to humanity, and she's going to spiral out of control. I get that. I do understand also this is a female empowerment comic book show. We have a lot of women comic book characters, women superheroes, and we have women villains, and they are put on high display on this show. I think we have to accept that. A lot of people don't want to accept the story because we're so used to seeing the bad guys, not the bad girls. Yeah, we can see the good girls. We're cool with that. But when it comes to the bad girls too, it's like, oh, this is too much. And that's not the case. That's not the case. If you don't like actors, that is a whole different thing. We are all allowed to our preference and our taste in a certain form in how we consume art, whether we like it or not. And if we don't like a character or how an actor portrays a character, that's one thing. But when we start to shun it saying, oh man, this is too many dudes, or this is too many women, or things like that, that doesn't give the product a fair chance. I personally didn't like season 1 of Batwoman because I did not believe that Ruby Rose was going to be believable as a hero. I mean, I've seen other roles. I still am thinking like, you were in season 2 of John Wick and you were silent, and that was still kind of rough. Season 2, part 2. What am I talking about? I'm talking about TV shows and movies going back and forth. But nonetheless, I think this is going to be an interesting season. Like I said, I'm going to follow this as best as I can, keep up to date with it, with the updates and watching it. I definitely want this to succeed because it is nice to see a black female in the lead of a superhero show. And I, like many others, are hoping that we give it the chance. Not just off of, quantity. No, I will say our quality. But you have to allow yourself to be open to the story because the story makes sense. The story, even though, like I said, is being set in a fictitious comic book world, applies in many situations today. There are many black men, many black women who haven't had the opportunity to prove themselves. And now they have the chance to prove that they are better than what their past is. And so that's kind of the story we're going down. Yes, it intertwines with Ryan wanting to kill Alice for killing her mom. Yes, it intertwines with Alice now being hunted by somebody even bigger and badder in Sophia. All these different things, the crows, the relationships with Julia, I think her name is, I'm sorry, and Sophie, and all these different things, these intertwined relationships, which is another thing. I've always said this throughout every single Berlanti-verse, Arrowverse show. The LGBTQ relationships are on display and are never, because, there are people who say, oh, they're just driving it in your face and pushing an agenda. No, this is real life, real relationships. It's not made as an essential key plot point, except for Batwoman's sexuality in the beginning of the series was made a plot point. Well, a key point, shall I say, not even a plot point. But so much real life that is intertwined within this show. All right. So I want to know if you've been watching and what your thoughts are in the comments below, down there. All right. So go ahead and like, subscribe, click on the notification bell, and be respectful. Let me tell you this: if you come out your mouth and come sideways and stupid, y'all should know. If you don't know me by now, I ain't for the dumb shit. I'm not. All right. So follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Mr. J Washington, MRJAY. You should know how to spell Washington. Make sure you're checking out Blurs in the Hood every Tuesday and Thursday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. on the East Coast. That's youtube.com/BLERDS, the letter NTHEHOOD, with myself and Winston A. Marshall and the Mad Titan Podcast, so I get you caught up on all the things happening in the Marvel and DC live action and cinematic universes. It is barbershop talk for nerds, so come on in the convo, all right? I'll holler at y'all next week for another episode of Batwoman. Also, yeah, subscribe to the channel and check out other reviews. I'm out of here. Take care. Bye.